Ladies and gentlemen,
Good evening.
are you ready?
Okay, here we go.
You're listening to the Deal Room Podcast. Join us as we bring you the inside scoop on business sales and acquisitions. Get across trends in the area and hear the industry's best recount their real-life tips, traps, and experiences. Now, here's your host, Joanna Oakey.
Hi, it's Joanna Oakey here, and welcome back to the Deal Room Podcast, a podcast proudly brought to you by our commercial legal practice, Aspect Legal. Now, today we have on the show the fabulous Kobi Simmat from Best Practice, all to talk about his own experiences on building a business to sell and other gold nuggets. Now, this is such an interesting conversation that it has actually become a two-part series. So in this episode, you'll be listening to part one of the two-part series, where Kobi and I discuss how to build a business up to sell on the basis of what he is doing in his own business right now and in the businesses of clients that they work with through Best Practice, and of the businesses of their clients that they work with through Best Practice. Kobi and I discuss some really interesting insights into the ways to increase your multiple at exit, the benefit of choosing an industry that's trending, and many other gold nuggets, all about how you can take your business from being a job to being an investment. And then we'll be back with part two of this two-part series to talk all about the pillars in a business that will grow sale value. So this is really useful listening if you are building a business to sell, or indeed if you are looking to acquire a business, because all of the things that we're talking about in this two-part series will give you a really good insight into how you can get into this new business you're acquiring and turn around the value and really add value during your period of time prior to you exiting the business. Well, that's it. Without further ado, here we go with our discussion with Kobi. Kobi, welcome to the Deal Room Podcast. I am so excited to have you on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Fabulous. I'm super excited, number one, because there's a lot of content that I think will be really, really useful to our listening audience. And number two, because I just love talking to you because you're full of beans. I feel like I meet my energy match when talking to you. I love it. It's great. But we do have a lot to get through. And I feel like when you and I start talking, we just keep talking. So let's really dig into this. Today, the theme that we're talking about is how to build a business to sell. And we're really going to then touch on and why having a business that is in a sale ready state is the best kind of business to be in anyway. But can you just give us a quick background on why it is that you're here talking about how to build a business to sell at the moment? And hint, it's because we were discussing this together and I love the method that you've been using and following on your own trajectory. But can you just give our listeners a bit of an insight into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, Kobi Simmat, I founded and I lead an organization called Best Practice. I'm right in the building phase myself. So I'm building this organization myself. For those of you listening, if you are monitoring for one of your clients, or if you're monitoring yourself because you're building to sell yourself, your share price, your private share price, I'm literally laser focused on that number. I'm laser focused on the culture with my team. I'm laser focused on, having this thing as an asset that creates, it's not just a wealth building exercise. It's an exercise to build wealth for everybody in our team. But it's part of actually, I'm really passionate about helping organizations to be great places to work. I'm really passionate about helping organizations to create great buying experiences for their customers. Thus, really passionate about helping organizations to be great investments for whomever are their shareholders or their owners or their founders. And so I think if you can line up those three key stakeholders, the team, look after the team, make it amazing for the team, they will smile. If they're smiling and you look after your customers start smiling. And then, then it becomes a beneficial investment. And myself, I've got some pretty strong family values. I'm hoping for a little bit more business freedom. I'm literally about to take 6 weeks off. I'm getting better and better every year at the business running by itself for longer periods of time. My record trip is 12 weeks. And I'm just trying to have this thing. I do enjoy doing meaningful work, but I also have a bucket list that I'm trying to get through.
I love it. That idea, for business owners, leaders, entrepreneurs, that idea of taking a 6-week stint, a 12-week stint, for many of them it's almost like a pipe dream. It's almost like, this vision in the future that can't happen until the day they sell. And that's why, I find that there is just this huge level of potential disappointment at that point of sale when someone has devoted their life to building this business on the basis that will be the day when they can take some actual time off, because they've not built the business to allow them to do that along the way. But then, because they've built the business in that way, it doesn't have the value that they expect at that point of sale. So it's almost like it's this wheel that they can't get off that is constantly trapping them. Is that something that you've seen in your clients?
100%. Let me give you a really interesting story. So through my early teens, my early 20s, I didn't see my dad. I didn't see my dad for 20 years. He had a 45-minute commute, which is nothing nowadays, but it was back then, in the 80s and the early 90s. 40-minute on a quick run, hour and a half commute to work. So he would leave when it's dark in the morning. He'd come home when it's dark at night. We might have got a pat on the back or a head scratch from dad when he got home, but I didn't see him. So he was building a business. It was pretty decent turnover, big team. That business collapsed. So it was built, but it collapsed. And so not only did he compromise and sacrifice family time with us, I didn't see him. We were kind of like, yes, back dad, because dad's building this thing for us, for our family, he's doing it for the family. We made all these compromises and sacrifices, but then for what reason? Literally for zero. So that's my real life kind of family, story. There's a heap more, and we can kind of explore that and go really deep on that particular story at a later date. But every single day I see people, long hours in the office early, late night phone calls, weekend phone calls, fee proposals, clients, staff issues, those kinds of things. And those, they keep pulling them back. I'm working side by side with my brother. He runs a business, I run a business. There's a few years between us, but he's early on in his journey. And he's the guy sitting in a meeting that takes phone calls, and he's completely ignorant to everybody. He is right in the hustle right now. And so I think, I see it every day in so many businesses that we have this dream that kind of we start this business to have freedom or be our own boss or kind of do these things. But then the reality of the situation comes down to, actually, I'm completely locked in. The business is completely tied to me. Everything stops when I stop, and you kind of don't get those things that you're looking for. By the way, for the brokers listening in, you guys already know that those are the businesses that are worth basically nothing. Yeah. So, and so that's what I'm really interested in, that third tier or the third pillar to what we're trying to do here at Best Practice is we're trying to empower teams to kind of step up. We're trying to help leaders delegate and elevate. And that is part of what we do kind of on a day-by-day basis with all the little tips and tricks and tools and I'm trying to lead by example. I just had 2 weeks off for the Easter school holidays here in Australia. I had 2 work phone calls that lasted 5 minutes each in a 2-week block. So, I think it's not a pipe dream. What I will say, it's taken me 17 years to get to that point. So it's not something that you can happen overnight. I can help someone get some quick wins overnight in terms of doing that. And we can work on some really efficient tactics and strategies. And we've really refined the art of lifting competency in team members. We've been working on that internally here, and we're starting to roll that out and educate people on how to do that and be really effective. But I see that all the time. I see it every single day. And, my business coach was in here the other day saying, we could push this thing so much harder, but it'll probably give you cancer. And that's, so I'm very empathetic to that. And I think that I would love to continue to work, and I will continue to work to help people with those goals that they set for themselves, which is a bit more freedom, a good investment. And also day by day, let's do the things we really love doing, and let's, delegate the things we don't like doing, because
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Look, you and we're singing from the same hymn book, and my experience comes from having seen so many businesses fail. As lawyers, we're the ones who can see businesses that have pushed hard but not focused on the right areas. So, from our perspective, it's about really reinforcing the foundations to secure businesses. But the other side is these businesses that, have gone on for a long period of time with owners just chained to the business, not knowing that there's a better way, not knowing that there's a way that they can free themselves, and that way will also increase their value,
Absolutely.
And I just think, and I see these owners that sail with this disappointment, and I just wish that, we could have all gotten in there earlier. And I think that's the thing, perhaps what drives you and I might be the same thing, that we feel like we see the secret.
Absolutely.
We see the answer because we see successful businesses who have achieved it, and we can see what makes a difference. So I just want to round back to one of the things that you talked about earlier on in terms of getting really deep and practical on what this all means. So we talked about valuation, and you said you were laser focused on the number, i.e. the number of the valuation of your business. What does that mean? How did you come to that, and how do you determine that as you continue along?
Yeah, look, we're not in the business, the disclaimer is we're not in the business of business valuations. There's brokers, and that's their path. But someone has given me a formula, and I'm an operator. So right now, to be really clear with everybody, I am operating an organization. That organization happens to help organizations. We're a service-based business-to-business firm, management consultant, if you want to put us into a category, as part of what we do. Recruitment's part of what we do. But in terms of actually building that business, there's different component parts to the business. But I made a very specific decision in 2009, quite early. I didn't realize what I was doing. It was a specific decision because it kind of made sense to me personally, not for other reasons, to build a recurring revenue business.
Yeah.
And so why is that important now? Recurring revenue businesses now have higher multiples when we go for sale. So multiples of EBIT, multiples of profit, to be really simple, or multiples of turnover, depending on the formula and what you want to agree with your buyer and what your market's doing. But I thought, hey, this is a great idea. Let's build this subscription service. And a large chunk of one of our businesses is a subscription service. And that subscription service, it's an attractive industry. I kind of made a decision to go into an attractive industry, and I made a decision to build recurring revenue in that particular area, and we have been focused on that. So as an operator, I'm laser focused on, there's a multiple, let's call it 5 or 6 in this particular industry of my profit, so 5 or 6. And so I'm literally tracking, and I don't do it very often. I might look at it kind of every 3 months, but I kind of have set myself a bottom line profit goal for the year, not because I want to buy a new McLaren or a Ferrari or a bigger boat. It's and I've already got a big boat. But
I love that you threw that in.
It's, I kind of have the toys, if you like, that I need, and I have the life experiences that I have, and my family's being looked after. We are doing it, and we're being very clear about the profit that we're driving out of this particular business, because that's one of 8 pillars that we're working on in our business to continue to grow our value and make us attractive. And I was literally thinking about it this morning. We're kind of, for a sophisticated person listening, we're the business renovators. We'll renovate your marketing, we'll renovate your processes, we'll renovate your strategy, and then we'll put you into a maintenance plan that keeps you going. And so we kind of, I don't know whether we're ready to kind of launch that as a brand slogan, but we're kind of the
we can talk about trademarks later when we
best
finish
practice
the call.
business renovators. But that's what we've done. We've kind of done that internally thing. We've given everything in best practice a fresh coat of paint, and we continue to maintain it and keep it clean and tidy. And we kind of know where we want to be and what we want to be looking at. And I'm, more than actually helping anybody right now, I want to inspire people to actually say, well, we should keep it clean and tidy, and we should be focusing on the right things, and we should be looking at the market and saying, hey, what does the market like? I think the biggest mistake that business owners make is they're a focus group of one. They're a focus group. Are you being a focus group of one? Are you focusing inside your own head? And are you doing the things and making decisions about what you like and what you think is important? Yes, most likely. And that's about what you just, what we just talked about is about finding the secret. The secret that I stumbled across was, I know how I like things. And, sometimes, pigs are really happy in the muddy pit of the pig trough, to give you that picture of, they're getting through the scraps of vegetables and they're snorting around in the mud. And there are business owners that are like that, and that's okay. But if your goal, in the back of your mind, your dream, let's make it a dream because there's no plan attached to it. If your dream is that, this thing that I've been working at, actually that's my superannuation. I haven't physically put any cash into superannuation, and all the accountants listening to this podcast, because I know there's a lot of them, will say, you're absolutely crazy because you will get the tax discounts because you can add stuff to super. You know what? I am not taking working capital out of my business for the tax benefits and putting it into my superannuation fund. I am leaving all of the working capital in my business to continue to grow it because I'm laser focused on that. I'll get the tax benefit at the end. Yep. I'll take that tax discount at the end when that working capital and that operational business is handed off to another owner. I'm not interested in putting it into super right now. So,
and just as a comment, as a disclaimer, this is not financial advice. Please seek your own.
Absolutely.
But I love it because this is your belief, obviously,
absolutely,
that the business that you're growing will have a greater return than the return that you can get through, general passive investments, like, for example, via superannuation, right? So this is where you're saying that your belief in business is in the return that you can create. If you're focused and understand, if you're focused on a number, you've got a plan, and you've got a plan, you have a plan to put that in place. And I just want to go back one step where we talked about multiples, just to make it super clear, because you and I talk in this terminology all the time. Some of our listeners may not completely understand what we're talking about here in multiples is the valuation that's attributed to your business by someone who might look to purchase it in the future when they look at your earnings or your profit or an adjusted profit multiplied by a certain number. And that multiplier that you're using has the ability to have a massive impact on the value at the end of the day. So you've got profit, which many owners, clearly are focused on, which is a great thing. But then it's also about what the multiplier is on that profit that can make a massive difference. And so you were talking, about multiples, 5 or 6, many times when businesses look at sale, their multiplier might be one or two.
Absolutely.
Because of the way they've run the business. When you're talking about a multiplier of, let's say you've managed to get it to 500 grand, $1 million, whatever in profit, and then you multiply that by 1 versus multiplying that by 5, that's a large difference, right?
Huge difference. Absolutely. You're spot on there. And, I think it would be wise for anyone listening to clearly educate themselves on different pillars that drive value. And you're exactly right. And I see the disappointment in lots of business owners' faces because they're kind of like, but I like doing this work and I've chosen this industry and I know this industry, and that's excellent. But the multiplier in that particular industry might be, and I saw a business recently sold where the multiplier was 0.82.
Yeah.
So they were given, 82 cents in the dollar of profit. And so that business owner was like, well, I can run this business for another year and I can make more money by keeping the profit. And that unfortunately becomes the decision that ends up being made. You're going to stay chained to that desk for another year because you're going to make more money than what someone's prepared to buy, because it's a renovator's delight.
Yeah. I love it. And, I am super keen on acquisition for growth, and herein lies some opportunities as
Absolutely.
well. If you're an opportunity finder and you're into this idea of, let's call it business renovation. Is that what you're calling
Absolutely.
it?
Yes. Yes. So
I'm not going to take it. You can have that one.
You can have it. Well, we can all have it. We'll talk about it. Let's make it a thing. But, is my business a renovator's opportunity, or is it purely polished? Because, I watch, I'm right in the thick of it. We are right in the thick of it here in the Northern Beaches in Sydney. If you're not at dinner on a Saturday night and the topic of property doesn't come up, you're mixing with the wrong people, and so, we sit there and we talk about it. And I have a lot of friends who do not want to lift a finger. They don't want to lift a paintbrush on the weekends. They want to go into a fully finished house. And the buyers at the top end, when you talk about, we can talk turnover numbers or profit numbers, but when you're talking profit numbers of $1 million and then profit numbers of $5 million and then profit numbers of $20 million, there are big businesses out there who they want to buy a going concern that operates by itself, that they don't have to lift the paintbrush, because they want to buy future profit. And there are things that they value. They value the maturity of your management team. They value, the clarity in your strategy. They value, you have defined processes and that there is a recipe book available that they can open up tomorrow once you've left and, metaphorically, and follow those processes and continue to guarantee that profit. Because if they do this thing you said to do in the document or in the process, then you can, that will guarantee them profit. This is how you do the marketing. This is how you generate the leads. This is how you, do the sale. This is how you do the customer service or product. And so I'm not an advocate for writing everything down in policies and procedures, because I think we're moving away from that in industry. That's a whole nother podcast. But I think it's those starting to understand what those key levers are. So, and then, for example, think they will value recurring revenue, because they're like, you mean to say we can buy this business and we don't have to do another sale and we will get that guaranteed revenue, which equals a guaranteed profit? And you go, yeah. They go, actually, we value that because this thing will pay itself off. Yeah. So, that's kind of, I would like the listeners, and I know there's a lot of listeners of this particular podcast that, and this here in the deal room that kind of know this stuff. But if you're somebody listening and you are building a business right now, you're operating a business, and that business is going to be a legacy that you might leave for your family, or it's going to be superannuation, then it would be wise to start doing one simple thing. This is my one simple tip. Write down, delegate, and elevate. There are people out there that are super passionate about doing the things that you don't like doing. I like running around and staying fit, and I would be happy as a pig in mud on the back of a garbage truck picking up garbage bins because I would be fit. I would love to do that if I had my time again and I didn't have to worry about financial stuff. Just what I love, laboring for bricklayers, because I can lift weights all day and I can stay fit. I like running around. I like staying fit and healthy, and I would be happy to do that. And I've got the mental resilience to do that. People think, oh, gross, I don't want to be on a garbage truck. I'm like, what a great opportunity to just be jogging all day. So
and out in the morning, finished early in the afternoon.
Exactly right. Hang out with your friends, go to the beach, that kind of stuff. So I think that's just me as a case study that, thinking about your business, saying you actually don't have to do everything. And in fact, your time's better spent on really high value activities. Stop doing the low value activities. If you're a business owner and you file emails, then that is absolutely the worst use of your time. So, that's just a really simple, if you're OCD, I need to make sure my inbox is in order. Well, then you're kind of not adding to your multiple.
Yeah. Oh, and it's such a good point, isn't it? And it comes back to this, really simple thing as well. So, number one, know what you enjoy doing and get rid of the stuff that you don't. Know what you're good at and get rid of the stuff that you don't, but also do what you can to structure yourself in business so that you're focusing on the working on rather than in, right?
Absolutely.
It's like that's these fundamentals.
100%.
Well, that's it for our discussion with Kobi Simmat from Best Practice. And of course, if you would like to talk to Kobi about some of the work that he does with businesses, building them up for sale and converting them from a job to an investment, then just head over to the show notes of this topic or our website at thedealroompodcast.com, where we'll link straight through to Kobi, and we will also provide a transcript of this podcast episode if you would like to read it in more detail. Now, don't forget to come back next week for part 2 of this 2-part series, where we really dig into the pillars in the business to grow sale value. And that's a really important episode because we dig into what you actually need to do in a practical way to increase the value of your business at sale. We also talk about how to find trending industries, looking at what's happening geographically, and also the benefit of adding new products and services to your current client bases. Kobi shares his top 3 takeaway tips for businesses. And really, this is highly important listening for any business that's looking to buy or indeed that's looking to exit at some point in the future. Now, don't forget, at our website, you'll also be able to find details of how to contact our legal eagles at Aspect Legal if you or your clients would like to discuss any legal aspects of sales or acquisitions, whether that is preparing for an imminent sale or acquisition, or indeed if you are right at the point of sale or acquisition right now and need some legal assistance to get you through the process. We have a number of great services to help guide businesses through this sale and acquisition process. And finally, if you enjoyed what you heard today, then I'd be very grateful if you could pop over to iTunes and leave us a review. And that's it for today. Thanks again for listening in. Don't forget to come back for part 2 of our 2-part series next week. But for now, thanks again for listening in. You've been listening to Joanna Oakey and the Deal Room Podcast, a podcast proudly brought to you by our commercial legal practice, Aspect Legal. See you next time. Aspect Legal has a number of great services that help businesses prepare for a sale or acquisition, to help them prepare in advance and to get transaction ready. We've also got a range of services to help guide businesses through the sale and acquisitions process. We work with clients both big and small and have different types of services depending on size and complexity. We provide a free consultation to discuss your proposed sale or acquisition. So see our show notes on how to book a time to speak with us, or head over to our website at aspectlegal.com.au.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.
Thanks for listening to the Deal Room Podcast. To find out more about this episode and other episodes in the series, check out the show notes or head over to our website at thedealroompodcast.com.au.